the spiritual diplomacy. In this part of my recording, I would like the audience introducing the speech on the spiritual diplomacy. Behind it, the widespread and the dissemination, in addition to the arrival of Islam to many parts of the world, have been attributed to Sufis. However, in this episode, I would like to introduce and to highlight the effort that have played and the contribution that have been done by the Burhaniyya on the arrival of Islam to the Western world. However, the definition of the concept of the spiritual diplomacy and the main characteristics of the diplomacy is part of the first introduction, having the second episode targeting and handling Burhaniyya Sufi order. So just here I would like to provide a definition for the concept of the spiritual diplomacy as have been taken from the Diplomatic Club website. So it has been defined as the spiritual diplomacy has been defined as a form of diplomacy that focuses on promoting peace, understanding, and cooperation among nations and cultures through the use of spiritual and religious beliefs and practices. It emphasizes the role of religion and spirituality in bridging differences and creating a common ground for dialogue and cooperation. At its core, spiritual diplomacy seeks to promote a sense of unity and shared humanity by highlighting the common values and beliefs that underlie different religions and cultures. It recognizes that religion and spirituality are deeply ingrained in human culture and can serve as a powerful force for promoting peace and cooperation. In practice, spiritual diplomacy may involve promoting interfaith dialogue and cooperation, supporting religious freedom and tolerance, promoting humanitarian aid and development, and working to resolve conflicts and promote peace. It may also involve the use of spiritual practices and rituals to promote understanding and build bridges between different cultures and communities. Overall, spiritual diplomacy is a form of diplomacy that recognizes the importance of religion and spirituality in shaping human culture and promoting peace and cooperation, and seeks to harness the power of these forces to create a better world for all. For more information, I am referring you to the Diplomatic Club website. Spiritual diplomacy has its own power, but it is a Sufi spiritual power that cannot give rise to violence, as it is derived from peace. For Almighty God is the all peace, whose mercy precedes his wrath. Great thinkers believe that true dialogue with the other can only exist when you consider the other person as a part of yourself, enriching your being and revealing what you lack. This forms the foundation of Sufi culture. This forms the foundation of the Sufi culture. The concept of diplomacy has expanded, by the way. Here, just it is a new understanding or a new definition for what actually behind the diplomacy. So the concept of diplomacy has expanded to the point where any person outside his or her homeland is seen as a diplomat representing his own country. In this context, the Sufi has gained a role in practicing a parallel diplomacy that brings others closer, helping them understand spiritual values and their role in fostering a world of love among people, a world where war and violence have no place. Great thinkers believe that true dialogue with the other can only exist when you consider the other person as part of yourself, enriching your being and revealing what you lack. These forms and constitute the foundation of the Sufi culture. However, the Sufi culture, by the way, is based on the recognition and considering the other. And by the way, this is just the foundation of the Sufi culture. Spiritual diplomacy is not an optional aspect of the Sufi path. Rather, it is an inevitable duty for those who return from their inner journey and become qualified to benefit creation. This is exemplified in my master, Sheikh Abu al-Hasan al-Shazali, who after reaching Shazila moved to mountain the ground. So after he reaching his homeland, his birthplace, he moved to Zagon, the mountain of Zagon, making it a place of seclusion accessible only to those who truly sought God. However, Shazuli soon found himself compelled to return to the world of people. However, my master Sheikh Abu al-Hasan Ali al-Shazali recounts the reason for his descent from the mountain Zagon and departure from isolation, describing that through a mystical vision. So just hear his own words. It was said to me, O Ali, descend to the people so that they may benefit from you. I replied, O Lord, relieve me from them, for I cannot endure their company. Then it was said, descend, for we have granted you safety and lifted from you the burden of blame. Imam al-Shazali of Moroccan origin, who was born in the year 5071 Hijri, practiced his form of spiritual diplomacy in Egypt. He practiced the form of his spiritual diplomacy in Egypt, where it had a significant impact, well documented in historical records. So for more information in this context, I would like to refer you to Ahmad Qani in his published article on the website of his press, Can We Talk About Spiritual Diplomacy? Published article 2017. Spiritual diplomacy has been at the heart of the spread of Islam in sub-Saharan Africa, with Sufi orders playing a significant role, something even astonished opponents of Sufism and cannot come to deny. However, in this particular area, I would like here to show that The spiritual diplomacy is behind the spread of Islam, not only in Africa in general, but in my own country, Sudan in particular. That is, the earliest disseminator of the Islam in the country were Sufis, and to their credit is the widespread the consolidation of the Islamic religion in Sudan, taken from Sufism and the Sufi doctrine, a means to spread it out in the country. And since 1504, that is the beginning of the first modernist Sudanese state, Sufis have played the greatest role in the consolidation of Islam from a side and its dissemination from another side, following the diplomatic spiritual policy. What is applied to Sudan, by the way, is applied to other African countries. For example, if you have taken the Qadiriyya order, we found the Qadiriyya has a lion share in the spread of Islam in Africa, arriving in West Africa with the Arab Konta tribe in the early 16th century. This tribe played a crucial role, a significant role in spreading the order in the Niger Basin region. Islam later reached the eastern coasts of Africa through the Qadiriyya order, not by the sword, but through a spiritual journey or spiritual diplomacy practiced by Sufi merchants. As a result, cities such as Mogadishu, northern Ethiopia, and other areas became major centers of Islam. Following this, the Shazuliyya and Rifa'iyya orders continued this civilizational role in Tanzania, Uganda, Zambia, and other regions. By the late 17th century, Sufism had also reached South Africa through Indonesian scholars who had been exiled by colonial authorities to the Cape of Good Hope. Moreover, Sufi groups played a role in resisting the apartheid regime. So for more information, once again, I'm referring to Ahmed Qani article, Can We Talk About Spiritual Diplomacy? Published an article on Hespress 2017. Sufism in this context constitute an important spiritual and cultural references and cultural reference, as it considered one of the most nurturing and service-oriented religious components in addressing the spiritual and emotional dimensions of our nation. This is due to its dedication to the benevolent aspect of Islam. It focuses on the purification of the soul, its refinement, and its elevation towards moral perfection. Sufism has provided throughout its history sophisticated human and civilized models that constituted a great moral and spiritual reference and had a great impact on spreading the spirit of coexistence and tolerance among individuals and peoples. And here just I would like to quote the greatest Sufi Rumi, who said, raise your words, not your voice. It is rain that waters the flowers, not thunder. However, spiritual diplomacy has its own contribution to the arrival of Burhaniyya to the Western world and beyond. And by the way, here just I would like to present parts of the perspectives and opinions that have been pronounced by some Westerners describing how spiritual diplomacy have successfully brought them to the fold of Islam and Tasawwuf. So following the presentation and introduction of the Burhaniyya, starting from its earliest foundation in Egypt under the efforts of my master, the Qutb Ibrahim al-Dasuqi and Abu al-Mawahib al-Shadhali, then to its arrival of its teaching and consolidating of this teaching through the efforts that have been led by its Sudanese founder, my master, Sheikh Muhammad Usman Abdul Burhani, and then his khulafa and successors after him, going through the strong presence of the Tariqa in Europe, in North America, and in some Arab countries, in addition to some Asian countries. Here, just I would like to provide some views and opinions that have been pronounced by some Burhanis, mainly from Western world, describing their own experience before entering Islam and then the teaching of the Burhaniyya. And these views, by the way, have been recorded while in their annual visit to Khartoum to attend the anniversary of the founders of the Tariqa. So just here I'd like to present parts of the samples of the Westerners describing their experience with the Burhaniyya and Islam in general. So the first Burhani female lady is Hamida Dasuqi. So Hamida Dasuqi, by the way, is a Burhani female adherent, embraced Burhaniyya, embraced Islam, and here in this part of our recording describing her experience with Islam and the Burhaniyya. So this is just her word. Hamida Dasuqi, a public health specialist from California, USA, said she converted to Islam 40 years ago through the Burhaniyya Sufi order. In her own words, I hail from a practicing Catholic family, and since my childhood I had a passion for mathematics and algebra. But I used to wonder why Christians say they worship the one God, while they believe in the Trinity. One day I asked the church or the church pastor, who is the one God? Is he the God, the Son, or the Holy Ghost? That is because I understand that 1 + 1 + 1 equals 3 and not 1. Here the pastor summoned my mother and told her that your daughter is a Muhammadan. Prior to that, I had never heard anything about Islam. But later on, during my early years at the university, I met a Burhani brother who had an Islamic library. Then I came to know about Islam and pronounced the Shahada. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is the messenger of God, and joined the Burhaniyya order. Later on, I met Sheikh Ibrahim and learned the Muslim rights and came to learn about the tolerance and other tenets of Islam. I then visited many areas and became a religious guide in my home state of California, and by Allah, well, many Americans have converted to Islam, thanks to the effort and guidance of the Burhaniyya group. Hamida further said she and her children are keen to fly to Sudan every year to attend the memorial of the two sheikhs in recognition of their leadership. In her words, our visit to Sudan is a spiritual journey. that renews our faith and during which we taste the spirituality of worship. Here in Khartoum, we attain a peace of mind that cannot be reached through material fulfillment, she said. So another view from a Burhani female, that is Sakina Bougdini. She is a French woman of Algerian origin. She said, as Muslim immigrants in France, they suffer quite a lot because the media distorts the image of Islam. In her own words, we cannot defend Islam, especially after the recent horrific terrorist attacks and the emergence of the extremist movements and currents whose news occupy the media outlets, she said. Sakina said she was born in France to a French family and joined the Burhaniyya order with the help of a French friend. She visited the center, Mashayikh of the Burhaniyya, in Shinidia, in Germany, in 1997, and after that she kept visiting Sudan every year, where she and her family members attend the memorial of the two Shaykh, referring to Sheikh Muhammad Osman Abdul Burhani and Sheikh Ibrahim. She further went on and added, "We are now in bad need to commit to Burhaniyya and its teachings, because it is a reflection of the real face of Islam that preaches tolerance, moderation, fraternity, and social peace. We are now very upset by the terrorist orientations that attract the Muslim youth. Islam does not permit the killing of humans for no wrongdoing, as we see now. Sufism and the Burhaniyya order are the way out for our young generations and for non-Muslims who know nothing about Islam other than what they see in the media," she further stressed her words. Sakina, who is also a writer, says Sufism and the Burhaniyya order are acceptable among the French. In France, she said, they have a center where they give lessons and hold sermons every Saturday. She said a lot of non-Muslim French nationals visit the center, many of whom have become Muslims and joined the order. Another personality, a Burhani adherent and follower, is Dawood Serlo, a pensioner from New York, USA. He said he hailed from a practicing Christian family. And he further went on and added, "As a young boy, I hoped to become a priest. However, one day on my way back home, I came across a group of people asking about Islam and Jesus Christ. I also heard something about the Prophet Muhammad and that he is Allah's final messenger. I was very moved by what I heard. Then I embraced Islam, and for my first 7 years as a Muslim, I used to perform my prayers. But my soul wanted more, until a friend took me to Burhaniyya Center, where I listened to Imam Fakhruddin poems and the Madih, the songs in praising of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him. I immediately joined the Burhaniyya order and then came to know about the Prophet Muhammad loves his life. So I immediately joined the Burhaniyya order and then came to know that Prophet Muhammad loved his life. Then I kept visiting Sudan annually with my family to attend this memorial and Prophet Muhammad birthday celebrations. These are true celebrations where the place attracts people from all races and colors with one aim: to praise Allah and the Prophet Muhammad. It is a great relief and happiness indescribable to be here. Dawood said in New York and New Jersey, the Burhaniyya have two prayer places, zawiyas, where celebrations are held and lectures are delivered about Islam. In his own words, we are accepted in the community and our place all and hearts are open for all. He said. He said in New York he wants a bus on the side of which he inscribed love of the Prophet Muhammad. He said many Americans had found their way to Islam through the Burhaniyya order. I would like to remind the audience that just I'm presenting and providing some presenting samples of Burhani Western adherents and followers expressing their own views toward Islam, towards Burhaniyya, and showing their admiration and their finding the peace within Islam and within the teachings of the Tariqah. What I would like also to say that I guess I'm depending on presenting these views from an article that have been published in Sudan Now, Sudanese magazine, 18 April 2016, under the title Burhaniyya Sufi Group Attracts Westerners Towards Islam. Another Burhani follower is Mariam Negler, a German lady who studies art and culture. Said she hails from a Muslim family who converted to Islam through the Burhaniyya. She said ever since their childhood, she and her family used to come to Sudan to attend the memorial. The two Sheikh memorial represent for us a good chance for spiritual fulfillment, especially under the present conditions when Muslims in the West are under such social and political pressure. We are afraid to say we are Muslims due to these circumstances, she commented. She further added, the two Sheikh memorial in Khartoum and the sermons held on the occasion give us much relief and help us to adhere to Islam more and more. Another perspective came from Dr. Jamal Yassin. So just here he would like to tell his experience with the Burhaniyya, with Islam. Dr. Jamal Yassin, a bone surgery consultant, also an adherent of the Burhaniyya order, said it is no wonder that there is hostility towards Islam in the West at the moment, because conspiracies against Islam had never ceased ever since the dawn of Islam. He went on to add, the difference today is that Islam's enemies now control the media. This makes their voices louder. What makes things worse is that extremist factions had helped enemies of Islam by distorting the image of Muslims through their inhuman deeds that incite hatred towards Islam. Dr. Yassin has maintained that Sufism does reflect the morality and the luminous image of Islam. Sufis had always been an example to be followed. by their good conduct, sincerity, and faithfulness, he said. He further added that the Burhaniyya always seek to create an example to be followed, adding that they avoid direct preaching and dialogue and instead seek to give a good example of Islam. This has caused our members to be accepted in the communities we live in who gradually choose Islam, he said. Westerners lack spirituality, and that is why they are now attracted to Islam, where they find a peace of mind generated by love of the Prophet Muhammad and praise of Allah's name, he commented. What really counts in our commitment to Islam, he said, adding that the Sheikh stays between 6 to 9 months every year in Europe, where he educates his followers and at the end picks guides to continue with the education of orders adherents. He says they now have 3 generations in Europe with a main center in Germany. Germany has got the bulk of Burhani adherents, followed by Denmark. We also have centers in France and Stockholm, Sweden, and Basel, Switzerland. Recent statistics show that 12.5 million non-Muslims had converted to Islam in the last 2 decades. By that result, Islam is the religion that attracts more converts from other religions. Experts attribute this turn towards Islam to the fact that Islam best fits human nature and is not opposed to reasoning, added to the prophecies of the Quran and Prophet Muhammad tradition, which were confirmed by modern sciences and research. The turn towards Islam is not confined to a certain social class in the West. People from different social groups have embraced Islam, including international celebrities from the domains of sports, the arts, and politics. The Burhaniyya or the congregation indicates that Sufism does give a good image of Islam that reconciles piety and modernity. Sufism can take humanity back to the pure origin of Islam. So this is just, by the way, samples of the views and opinions, perspectives of some Westerners showing their admiration of Islam following the path of the Tariq through the Burhaniyya.
At the end of this episode, I would like to extend my sincere thanks and appreciation to my 2 brothers, Hamid Babikir Muhammad Al-Hassan and the dentist, Dr. Tayyib Muhammad Al-Hassan, for their support, help, encouragement, and collaboration. So their contribution to the episode have been so greatly appreciated, and having their deep, vast, and great knowledge about the Tariqa. In the final conclusion, I managed to present it in the form that it appeared. So my thanks to them for that, and I would like once again to remind you, dear audience, that the focus of the presentation throughout this episode is intended to present Sudanese major Sufi turuq to wider readers and to wider listeners outside the fold of the Sudanese setting. So among these major turuq, as I have stated earlier, is the Burhaniyya. So the Burhaniyya have been presented in this context as a continuation to the series of episodes that targeting presenting the Sudanese Sufi orders.
صلاتي وأكرمني بالتقوى وقوي يقيننا وسلم واجد وربي أنطى في رفتي وعمم في خير واكسوني كسوة تغي بأنوارها إياي من كل فتنة وكمل بنور الغرب حالي وعمالي في حزن وإحسان وخدم السعادة وفي جنات الرضوان فاجعل ما غوانا زلزل دوام الوصل معون السير ياتي المصطفى صلي من التلوين على العنايات وهب لي وعلى المصطفى وغاشيه دموع وصلي من التلوين على العنايات وهب لي جوار المصطفى وشهوده صلي من التلوين على العنايات أوفى صلاة والسلام مؤبد على خاتم الرسل الكرام وكل نبي وصحابة لكلهم من الآل ما لح الهدى بأشياء وما شاء ما يضر القدس منعوه